I
do.
I do like your idea of incorporating the saxophone into these in some way. There's
Just
a
yeah,
real idea
the,
there.
the shameless whisper saxophone solo. That's
Right.
like like just to start everyone. All right, looks like we got some people. Start us off. Nin.
All right, so today we've got on returning guest Peter Murphy, and if you want to briefly introduce yourself for anyone who hasn't seen any of those prior episodes, feel free to go ahead, Peter.
Hi, everybody. My name is Peter, and I'm a writer. I write on Medium, and I'm also on the Substack. I like to write about, uh, I don't know. These days, I just like writing funny stuff, and then sometimes there'll be some political stuff. It depends. And I've got a Substack channel called The Exile Files, and I've got a new TikTok called Writer Man. So it's
Yeah.
like talking about writing on TikTok. And also, I'm TW Murphy on Medium. So that's me.
How's the OnlyFans going though? That's your main earner, I understand.
I tell you what, it's that one is the one that's the generational wealth.
Okay,
You know,
I got you.
like that one that's where I put investing. Like I don't need that one for rent yet.
Oh, it's always so good to see Peter. You always make me laugh, and this is where we try to take our break for an hour from just the realities and talk about some fun stuff. So it's always good to see you too, Ben. So what do we got going?
Yes,
I got you, Walter.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm not sure if this is an issue on my end, but does it appear that we're live for you guys right now?
Yep, I see it. I'm getting see the names coming by, so that's
Okay.
wonderful.
Okay. Cool. Okay, it's just an issue on my end then.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard to always find these chats. Oh, so what you been watching lately, guys?
I have just been getting back into the Westeros universe with A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and
Oh, good.
the limited 2 episodes that are available have forced me to get back into House of the Dragon as well. So I'm currently working my way through season 1 of that to bide time before the 3rd season comes out.
How is it? How are you thinking or enjoying it?
Game of Thrones world is something that has kind of been unprecedented for me in how much it sucked me in that Lord of the Rings never really pulled me in when I was younger, and I was always a little bit put off by some of the knights, castles, and dragons stuff. And Game of Thrones, after like years and years of pressing from my friends, I finally gave in, and wasn't for the first 4 or 5 episodes, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. But by the time I got to the end of season 1, I was so hopelessly hooked in that world that there was nothing you could do to pull me away from that TV screen.
I know you're a fan of that too,
Yeah.
Peter, right?
Yeah, I started watching A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms as well, and I was afraid I was going to hate it. I read the story, and it's good. But it's kind of nice to see some, you know, an idiot from Ireland getting a chance to roam around Westeros. The actor is very good. He's an Irish guy. And I kind of feels exactly like if you just planted an Irish guy in Westeros, that's basically what it would be. Like he really is like he's good. I like him. I know a lot of people like him. So if anybody wants to know what it's like to live in Westeros, go to Ireland and find a tall guy like that. It's basically what it is.
I like the
is
way
the
that people from different regions like clearly have just real world accents from different places. Like, yeah, the people from Essos all have a distinct Irish accent, or
Yeah. Like that. So you have the north with northern kind of English,
right.
Irish. Yeah, they have that. And down south it's more posh. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, who did you say the actor? Yeah. Will says he's on his way to Ireland.
I don't know his name. I'd never seen him before. I don't know if I can Google it right now, but if you see that, I think something like that. I don't remember him from anything else. So
I want to say his first
been
name was
great.
also Peter, because I did just write a review with his
They're
name.
all named Peter in Ireland.
I could be wrong about that.
It's a good strong name.
Oh, it's funny, like, Ben, you talking about the sort, like, because I grew up in the 80s, and I'm older than Peter, too. So, like, there was this era of just, like, awful sword. It's like every sword and sorcery movie was just so awful. They get like just some muscle bound guy and have him trotting around in his underwear, and they get him all shaved and oiled up.
Mhm.
And that was like a fantasy movie. And it was like the gap between what we got in the 80s, like all the Conan the Barbarian and the Beastmaster and just all those 80s fantasy movies. The fact that they recovered it all and you were able to make Lord of the Rings was always kind of like a pleasant surprise. Like special effects. It's funny how the last thing special effects managed to catch up to are like fantasy movies.
Yeah.
Like that was the only, it took them
Right.
so long. And it's, there's such a fine line of making them look ridiculous. Actually, one of the best, like, inexpensive fantasy type films was the Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's like Terry
Right.
Gilliam's so darn good. He with no money at all, he can make something look authentic, but most of the time they just failed miserably. So I kind of see it was hard to suspend your disbelief in some of those old 80s fantasy films.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is one of the big dividing lines for me with special effects because, like you say, you can certainly tell that it hasn't quite caught up there yet by that time period. Like Game of Thrones was the first for me that just felt so hard and realistic, and also just the way that the story is written, so that real characters you care about are actually able to die, and there's a real sense of stakes. With
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, there was a bit too
Yeah.
much of that feeling of, okay, yeah, we know that these characters probably are safe for the count.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good, but about the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I highly recommend it to everyone. It's definitely sometimes it feels like a parody of Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
but
Oh.
but in a good way. You know, it's kind of it's like it feels fresh. I like it. Yeah, it's good.
What were your
I
thou
recommend
thou
it.
what were your thoughts on the, controversial first 5 minutes?
It's fine. Like if everything else was terrible, I would have really zeroed in on that, you know. But it got better, you know. It got good.
It's
To
just
clar
male
to
nudity, right? Or fill me in. Is there anything
Yeah.
more than that?
Yeah, to clarify for viewers, in the first 5 minutes, he basically decides that he's going to try to become a knight and make something of himself after his former master. No, I don't know if master is the term. His former lord
Mhm,
uh,
mhm.
knighted him, and right after he decides that he's going to go on that mission, it just like cuts to him like violently shitting behind a tree.
Oh, okay.
And right
Violently,
as it
huh?
does that, it just like plays the Game of Thrones music. And it's
Yeah,
so funny to me as somebody who just like hates the way that Game of Thrones ended. Like it felt like a very subtle nod to the awful ending.
yeah. I
I
was
enjoyed
thinking about that today, about that ending. Like
that.
you know, because every time you kind of get back into that world, and if it
Right.
starts to get good, you start getting kind of sad about how they ended it. And I really do think, like, in fairness, the two writers, DB Wise and the other guy, um, for what they did to that ending, I do think they should be locked up. You know, like I just think they should be locked up. It was that bad looking back on it because I was trying to give it some grace, like some mercy, and kind of say, oh well, you know, if I just watched it all in one sitting, the last two seasons, as if it was a big movie, maybe it would make sense. You know, instead of waiting a week to be disappointed. Um, and I did that, and it's still awful. So.
Yeah. Yeah, this
I'm
the slow rolling calamity of it was just so hard to watch. Like season 7,
Mhm.
you could already feel it was starting to go downhill, but there was this hope that they might still turn things around. But
yeah.
yeah, if I watched it all in like one sitting, just beginning to end, season 1 all through season 8, I don't think I would have quite noticed all the glaring discrepancies. But growing to love that world, watching it a few times over, and just know all the characters and all their motives, it just made the end feel like such a disaster. Like no one was.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
people
just the
people know.
complete yeah, every now and then they got in over their heads, they got too far over their skis in the last couple episodes. I'm seeing a couple, you know, and this is our everybody we always need to take just a little bit of a break, and I'm seeing yes, I agree, Gen Z needs to vote, and we need to abolish ICE. I see these things. And what it's like lately in my household, we've been at 5 o'clock, we've just been shutting off our phone. And Will Full was the one who told me, it's like resistance is rest every now and then. And this is, we're going to just try to take our hour and not talk about too much of politics. It seems to encroaches on everything. But I do appreciate those messages that people are sending in there. But yeah,
That's not a message. That's an essay.
yeah, well, there's one up there I'm glad. I'm glad that people are saying that, so I appreciate that information's there, but that's why, I mean, we're not disregarding your topic of the day. I'm finding that I'm actually really, really tired. I this morning I had a wonderful interview with Nick and Emily Berge, who's running for Congress, and we're not forgetting about these things, but I do want to emphasize with everybody too. Take a couple hours every day and just turn off your phone and just embrace your time with your family
Yep.
because we're just not
Take
going
a
to
couple of
survive.
hours every day to go over to the Exile Files.
Yes. And
All right. There's
man,
some funny stuff over there, or go over to the Gen Z report, right, Ben? There's some good writing there, or
Exactly.
even Walter's writing.
even me,
Walter doesn't always write about.
a
Yeah, well,
distant third.
you can still follow the Walter on the politics, which is good. But then you can also find these other essays that might
Oh,
not be on politics,
I'm
and
trying
take a
so
break with
hard.
that.
I'm deliberately trying to write stuff that's not about politics lately, and I almost can't. It's like, I tried to do it, and I almost can't. I got to start writing more stories just about my kids. But
My
yeah,
my
Peter.
Speaking of
my difficulty
the, I,
covering politics lately is just that I don't feel like I have a whole lot new to say. Like, so much of the news is just so binary awful that it's like, what more do you really have? What more
Yeah,
nuance do you have to contribute besides
true.
like, yeah, we really shouldn't have unaccountable ICE agents on our
Yeah.
streets, and
well,
yeah, those
I'm
are the
not
ones.
American, but but I do like to write about American politics. And when that thing happened to that lady, and then
Oh
a
man.
week or two later happened to that man, I just had to say I'm out. I can't even write satire about it, or
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
well,
can't do anything. It's just I'm out.
Oh,
Like I had to I don't know what's going on with you guys. That's absolutely insane.
I appreciate your
Not you
perspective, though,
guys, but
Peter.
you know.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your perspective, and you've lived in the United States, so it's not like it's just completely foreign to you. And it's just like it's a reminder, though, too. It's like the rest of the world. I mean, because we can get so fixated on this little spot where we are and these little things that are happening. And I think that living in the eternal present is how we kind of got into this mess because people forget there are consequences for your actions, and I think that's
Hmm.
something we have to remind these guys who think they're above the law. They have to remember they're not. And so, I mean, yeah, just having your perspective, Peter, is really helpful. Just hearing from it every now and then. And it's also just
My
nice.
perspective is terrible because I'm not trying to joke about it, but I'll literally just be like this,
Yeah.
just screaming,
I need to hear that though.
Sometimes,
Well,
or like,
sometimes.
I wrote a piece called I wrote it in anger, called what's it called? Like Nuance is the New Sedation. And I was just kind of like, where I was so angry when I wrote it that I kind of wish I could calm down and wait a week or two to
Yeah.
actually write something. But sometimes also you have to kind of say, no, you have to kind of, give that feeling its due. You know what I mean? And,
Absolutely.
you know, file it and put it out there. Because, after all, medium essays, they're dated. People can know when you wrote this. It happens the day after or whatever. Um, but yeah, it was basically saying like, it's like just people. I was getting angry at people being too nuanced or thinking about like, oh well, someone said to me like, someone I know said, actually, ICE has always been around. It's just the politics that changed and everything like that. And I was just like, dude, you are literally flossing your teeth as your ass bleeds. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you are focusing on the wrong thing, like they're shooting people. And that's kind of, I was like, I got to write something about this. But yeah, it's been, just so you all know, over here, we all think everyone I speak to think that it's insane. Yeah.
Eh, but you've always been super nice where you say, I mean, you understand. It's nice to hear that you understand there's good Americans who are trying to stop this and that we're trying to fix it. And
Oh, yeah.
I've always appreciated that perspective. And it's good to know that internationally, people still are hoping that the United States will find it's heading once again. And I think we are going to get there. But yeah, sometimes just that external perspective can come in. And those of us who are here, you seeing things right in front of your eyes and somebody like knocks you on the shoulder and like, hey, take 2 steps back, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's all the
Mm.
answers we need. We were so close, we don't see it. So I appreciate your
Right.
perspective a lot,
I'm
Peter.
I'm very curious about the kind of reactions it elicits when I announce to people on this upcoming trip that I'm from America. Even just last year when I was in Costa Rica and Trump hadn't yet taken, or I guess he had taken office just a few weeks prior, but people hadn't really come to that strong opinions about it. If they had thoughts, it was more just, "Oh, that's crazy, that's lunacy." But now I expect it's going to be more like, "What in the fuck is going
Yeah.
on over there?" And yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see. I'm almost hesitant to even tell people that I'm, from America because of the sentiment that people might have.
I used to just say I was from Canada. It just made
Yeah,
it easier, but that
yeah.
was during the Bush era, so, yeah. But from Wisconsin, you're basically from Canada anyway. I love Canada.
And
But I watched
circling back
a Civil War movie
Oh,
lately.
I haven't seen that yet.
Um, no, a Civil War movie, and it's not an American one. I watched Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that's
yeah,
hard Spanish
El
stuff to say.
Laberinto del Fauno.
Yeah.
I was telling Ben about it because I've been trying to like get inspired to kind of finish certain writing projects, and I was just like, so I need to steal something that I love, and I said, I'm going to go back and watch Pan's Labyrinth, and yeah, exactly, and maybe because I really do like that story structure in it, where they have the fawn kind of giving the tasks, and then she has to go off and do the task. And it's so
Yeah.
basic, but like it's a setting during like the Spanish Civil War, Franco, and everything, kind of makes it more interesting and everything, and the set pieces. So that's just one movie that I've watched, and as I was watching it, I was like, you know, I don't want to compare like what's happening in America to like Franco or anything like that. But like I was watching it, and I was kind of like, oh man, what? Why am I wanting to write a fairy tale in these times?
yeah.
Like I really like lately, I really want to write about Tiernan and Og, like the Irish fairy tales, Cuchulainn, or even this. I don't know if this has anything to do with real Spanish folklore, but it's a fairy tale movie, Pan's Labyrinth. I
Huh.
just all of a sudden I want to go home and find old books and write about like fairy tales and stuff. And it's funny because like Tolkien,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when did he write Lord of the Rings? Like that was pre. Was that
It
like
was
pre World War One
it
or
Yeah.
it
pre
would have
or?
been during World War II. He
Oh, yeah?
might have started it
Oh, okay.
earlier. Because it is such an allegory for World War II.
Hmm.
I
Oh, I
think,
thought that
now
was
that
older
you
than
say
that.
that, I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think so. Go ahead, Ben.
I had just thought that, Lord of the Rings was older than that, but having not actually read the books myself, not the best person to turn to for,
Yeah.
wisdom there.
One of his friends, because he and C.S. Lewis, they were with a group called, what were they, like the Ink Wells or the Ink Blots or something, and one of them died. One of their like, the one that they had the most affection for was the one who died in I can't
Hmm.
remember what war though, now that you're saying this, but I thought it's an allegory for World War II more than anything, but I think it's
Hmm.
interesting, Peter, that you're saying that because. I mean, throughout this whole last 10 years, I've been writing these fantasy stories for my kids and I've been I mean, it's like this fairy story, but this fairy runs for an election and the person she's running against claims the election was rigged. And so and so it's like I've been like in fantasy, you can sometimes it's easier to engage these things and talk about these
Hmm.
topics. And my awareness, my appreciation for Tolkien has grown because there's so much comfort in some of the things that he said, his moment. You're always reading before like, oh, the smallest acts of kindness are the ones that make you survive these things. It's like, well, that sounds like kind of bullshit. Until you get into this moment of
Hmm.
where you feel powerless and you're like, that actually is really true. It's like this building community to each other and doing like just something nice every day is how you survive and how you
Right.
eventually get through. So it's changed my understanding of those things. Did you find the dates? Looked like you were looking for them.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, you're right. He denied that it was an allegory for the Second World War, but a lot of people think it is.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a
Um,
deliberate, but I
yeah,
mean, how that influences you.
yeah,
It influences you one way or
yeah,
the
yeah,
other. So,
yeah, yeah. I think we have the same point that like during these really weird times, and that like I think a lot of people don't just kind of turn to fantasy, to consume it, but I think a lot of people kind of want to write about it, and not just people who are writers, but I remember like in school or growing up. You would always want to hear about those like the old fairy forts in Ireland and
Yeah.
things like that. Um, Not when things were going well. It was always during some
yeah.
time of strife, no matter what it was, that you would kind of go back to those stories. You know?
Yeah. Well, because
Mm.
otherwise your brain just breaks. I mean, you can't be miserable 24 hours a day, and this
Yeah.
is whether we like it or not. This is our life. My kids are in high school. They're never going to be in high school again, This is the
Yeah.
time when they're in my house and the dog is in his peak, and it's just like, sucks. It
Yeah.
sucks that I have to raise my family right now, but it's like that doesn't mean I have to wallow in my misery I still have to appreciate them every day and love them at every moment that I can. And so, yeah, I mean, I just encourage everybody in the chat. We're taking a minute today to try and just kind of like just talk about movies, and just forget about everything
Yeah.
else. But that doesn't mean we're out of the fight. We're trying to stay in the fight is why we're doing this.
The Game of Thrones world has been a especially great example for me recently of that whole idea of reverse escapism, where you wouldn't really think that the best way to get away from our current reality is into the pretty dark and graphic world of Game of Thrones. But it is.
Mhm.
It really is, and it makes me thankful to be in a world that has running water and where we're not ruled by arranged marriages and some sadistic monarchy controlling the entire world that we know, and
Well, the last
gradually
part.
drifting toward that point. Yeah, we're drifting there. We might get there.
There's no dragons, at least. At least there's no dragons.
Right.
Yeah.
In one of the stories, this made me just think of this, so I'll just tell it. I like doing the teasers from these fantasy books I write for my kids. And I think it's
Mhm.
like the third or fourth book. The person who is claiming election fraud, she decides to invade the fairy capital where the character won the election. And so the main character is like, she hears of this army coming. She's just like, I better go check this out. So she goes to check it out and realizes that the army is so incompetent. Her compassion, she's like, I gotta help these guys. So she gets herself installed as the leader of the army. So then she's like, just trying to help everybody marching on her own kingdom. I thought that was just a little funny. And so she finally gets there, and like this evil leader is like, this was my best hire ever. And she's like, actually, I'm the fairy queen that's opposing you. And she's like, no, you can't be. I hired you. I remember that day. She's like, no, it didn't happen. So I thought that was funny.
That's a
My
good
kids
Reminds me
one.
getting the kids getting mad at how compassionate and kind the main character is, but Jesus, I'm just like, yes, like compassion to an absurd level. That should be what our hero, we need more examples of that. I know it's fantasy.
Dad, why
I'm
is the
picturing
protagonist not killing everybody? God.
Why isn't it John Wick? We need another version of
Yeah,
John
yeah,
Wick
yeah.
because that's what every movie has to be.
I'm
Actually,
picturing
speaking
like
of
a
that,
SpongeBob SquarePants type.
Yeah.
did I talk about Nobody 2 already? Did I tell you about that or not? We watched that not too long ago. I can't remember if we
No,
talked
I don't
about it.
think so.
Not
I don't think
me.
so.
Well, did you see Nobody? It's the same guys who make John Wick, so it's the same sort of thing. Like a
I'm
guy
going
just
to
murders.
watch it because we like that actor. We've seen him
Yeah.
in Breaking Bad
Bob
and
Odenkirk.
Better Call Saul. Yeah,
What's his name again? I forgot.
Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, he's
Saul Goodman.
he's really, really good at but the first one's good, but I kind of like the second one better because he's just like he's gotten into this thing where he's working like undercover as like an assassin still, but then he comes home and does his family life every day.
Mhm.
And then he just like it's not really working, so he's just like, we got to go on a family vacation. And he's just like, the water park. And I just started laughing because salute.
Got pleasure.
Over this summer, I'm just like, we couldn't go to South America. We tried to go and visit the family in Peru, but we were afraid to go across the borders. So I was just like,
That sucks.
we're going to go to the water park this summer. So we did the exact same thing. So I was watching Nobody, and my girls are looking at me, and he's like, making memories. We got to make it. They're like, Dad. And so it's just like, so then he's at the water park, and somebody like picks on his daughter, and he's just like, he leaves. He like doesn't have a fight. And he's like, oh, wait, I forgot I forgot my cell phone. He goes back in and just kicks the shit out of everybody in the room. It is kind of funny. I mean, maybe I liked it just so much because it was like literally what we did last summer, except for all the murders. But other than that, it was funny.
I just no, go ahead.
I saw the first Nobody and I enjoyed it, but it didn't it wasn't life changing for me. I think a lot of those action movies can be a bit in the wash over me category. And especially with Bob Odenkirk, like so much of what he's in is just so thoughtful and introspective and well written that I think I was a little bit underwhelmed seeing his face on the screen and not getting all that.
Yeah, there is one.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, because I had this kind of Christopher Nolan marathon in the last 3-4 weeks because I've been writing a lot about him and Simon Dillon, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Been getting like he gets really upset when I talk about Christopher Nolan. I'm just kidding.
What? Why is he gonna say?
No, I'm only joking. It's just a bit. It's just a bit. Like I kind of joke that the only reason I write about Christopher Nolan is so that Simon will talk to me. Um, uh, but yeah, I watched all his stuff again, and after I finished watching Tenet, which I can talk to you about if you like,
Oh,
I threw on Lucy, starring Scarlett Johansson
oh, okay.
and Morgan Freeman, and just like Ben says, it's a completely underwhelming, non-life changing movie. But by God, did I understand it?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I could enjoy it. You know what I mean? I didn't have to. I didn't
yeah,
need all this stuff, and I sometimes I feel those movies are just refreshing. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
and it made me you talking about Mr. Nobody too. It
yeah.
makes me want to not that they're same movies, but I want to go back and watch the very first John Rambo because whenever people ask me what my favorite films are, I always forget to say Rambo 1, and it is genuinely like should be in my top 10. You
Never
know,
saw Rambo.
I
First
hey,
Blood.
dude, it's just
His
it's
name is First
First Blood.
Blood.
It's
Yeah.
just so not what you would expect because my dad used to talk about it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be like get to the chopper,
Right.
Arnold
That's what I thought.
Schwarzenegger thing. But like for the first hour, it's just a slow burn of a vet trying not to be fucked with by society.
Yeah.
And then it well, maybe the first 40 minutes to an hour, and then it goes into action
Yeah.
hero, whatever. But then he has this huge monologue or whatever, and breaks down at the end of the film, and
Yeah.
it's you cry watching it. It's just so good, and I'm like, what happened to us? Like, why are we not making stuff like this?
Yeah.
It's so
That's
good.
he's trying
It's
to track
better than
down.
John Wick. It
Yeah,
makes
well,
John
yeah.
Wick look like a kids movie.
And it's have you ever seen the list, like the body counts of all the Rambo movies? And it's like Rambo 5,
Yeah.
300 people dead, and they so in First Blood, one guy dies because he falls out of the hell. There's only
Yeah,
one death, and
Yeah.
It's funny how many people compile those mortality counts on YouTube. Like
uh,
I've seen a bunch of those.
that's a
yeah, but
clear
it's just.
testament to
But
our
Every
I
death
get
in Breaking
Walter's
Bad
point.
season
It
one.
ruins it. Like when Rambo has like a knife up against a soldier, in the woods, it's like you think he doesn't kill him, but like you look at him and you're like, oh my god, this guy's actually probably killed like hundreds of people. Like you already know it, and so you don't need to see it. Maybe I'm getting
Yeah.
too deep about it, but the other
No, I think
movies in the thing, they kind of overplay. If someone dies in a movie, I think you should,
yeah.
you know, it should
Well,
be something, you know?
First Blood is actually a movie about PTSD. That's what First Blood is
Right.
about. And it's like no other action movie engages with PTSD anymore. Like it's just not a
Right.
thing. And it's like in that one, he's tortured by this, and all of his buddies are all
Mhm.
dead because they all got hit by
Mhm.
chemical warfare and stuff when they were there.
Mhm.
So that's what he's finding out. And then he can't just
Mhm.
he just wants to eat breakfast, and the guy starts messing with him and they beat him up. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, it
But it's
really is
also
a
with
shame.
Ice. What's going on with Ice now? Like he just pulls up and starts talking to him, and the officer.
Yeah.
Not I don't compare ICE to normal real police officers at all. I don't care what the law says. I don't think they are. But like it just he kind of just pushes him and he keeps pushing him until something happens. And I just remembering kind of that,
Oh,
like how especially with Alex Pretty, it was like this guy was like a
yeah.
nurse
Yeah.
for veterans,
Yeah.
how like it's just kind of like they will push you until you do something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
ahead,
It's
Ben.
funny you bring up the comparison between the ICE and police because as an American, I think that one of my interesting takes on this has just been how much police brutality I've seen throughout my life already, and how consistent with that these most recent incidents are. I
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what more to say than that, but it's
Yeah.
there is a common thread of incompetence between the people who are supposed to be keeping us safe.
Yes, and it's one of those like when I went to Peru and I first lived in Peru, people are like, "Don't don't you feel not safe?" And I always would say it, I feel way less safe with American police than I
Yeah.
do with the people in South America. And it's just the fear is just normalized here. And I always tell people, the biggest military in the world, the third largest police, the police force would be the third largest military in the world. Like the amount of
Mhm.
money that America wastes on people that just
Yeah.
beat us over the head. And if
Right.
something happens to me, like if somebody sends me death threats because of my content on Substack, I've taken it to the police. Nothing we can do about that, sir. Well, what the fuck good are you then? If I'm getting
Right.
people threatening
Mhm.
to kill me and kill my family and you guys won't do a damn thing, why are we spending any money on that? But sure as shit, if I don't know what. If you get pulled over, you might get shot, like they're not going to come help you. And there are good ones. My wife, she slid into the ditch a couple years ago and it was fortunate. It was a woman cop who came and gave her a ride back home. So she helped her. And that's the way it should
Mhm.
be. But the reality is most of my experience is just like you said, Ben, I start to react when I see them like
Yeah.
this is going to be bad. I don't rely on them for help. And maybe like what Peter says is because at one point we stopped like engaging PTSD as a theme that should be explored in our cinema and just like focused on
Mhm.
the killing people as if it never has any consequences. I
Yeah,
don't know
I
if the
mean,
line
I
can be drawn.
if that guy who shot that lady, what's her name? I'm sorry, Goodman.
Renee
Right.
Nicole Good.
Um, yeah, okay. Who shot Renee? Can say, "Oh, I have PTSD because of something that happened a few months ago." You know what I mean? It's just therefore I can shoot them 3 times,
Yeah.
and the third shot is
Yeah.
the kill shot. It's just sorry, but brother, you do not have PTSD. You do not have PTSD. I mean, God's sake, like that's not that scary. Do you know what I mean? Being pulled along the side by cars, like you're fine. I mean, try play rugby or American football or something like, or just how about get hit by a car? I've been hit by a car twice. It's fine. Okay. Like, just get over it. And using that as an excuse to shoot someone in the face is just
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
Well,
pussy
and
thing to do.
the complete lack of respect for life because he called her a fucking bitch after he shot. I mean, you don't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
what the hell, man? I've been out with people and I've never killed an animal, but you go out hunting with
Yeah.
people and they shoot a deer and even they feel bad. Like you're out
Walter, you
shooting it.
wouldn't even call an ant a fucking bitch if you stepped on it by mistake.
That is just that behavior is just he's unwell.
You
He's
know?
mentally unwell. And
And the
that's
sad
not
thing
even a
is, there's
dialogue.
actually people standing by them. And I know some people who are standing by them,
They're
people
giving him
who,
money. Yeah.
no, just who are making up excuses for them. And it's got to a point where it's like, okay, am I going to go into a full on discussion with them, try to educate them and get angry? Or am I just kind of go, hang on, am I just not going to talk to this person? Because it's no longer about politics or, an outlook or, oh, Trump is crazy and Biden's silly and Obama had drones too. It's actually kind of like a moral issue where it's like, you're okay with that. And that's
Yeah.
pretty messed up, you know?
Yeah, I've been feeling a renewed urge to reach out to some of the few connections I've lost over politics the last few years and see if they've reached a
Boy.
new turning point. Ugh, yeah, one of the people whose primary reason for voting was just because of food stamps and the economy. Like, I've really got to wonder how he's feeling right now, and if he's kicking himself or if he's
It's not
convinced
his
himself that
fault.
this is all okay. Yeah,
It's
what's
not
that?
his fault. I'm sorry. I'm not making assumptions about your friend, but like,
Mm.
just if I'm going to use your friend as like an example for other people like that, I don't think it's really their fault. Do you know what I mean? I don't think a lot of them really thought this would happen, but there are enough of them out there who
Yeah.
are okay with it. And
Yeah,
that's scary, man.
Even those
That's
ones
scary.
they aren't getting the complete information, so that's really
Yeah.
interesting though, Ben, and I think you got a good temperament where that could probably succeed if you tried to do that. Like, if I even tried to sit and come up with what kind of email I would send to that person, I think it would be so hostile. I trust you to be better at that than me. So I think that would be if nothing else, that would be a good topic for an article. It would be a great thing for Medium, like trying to reconnect with friends I've lost to politics. Absolutely. And then you just say what
Dear,
happens.
dear friend, I do not think you're stupid. I think you are a caricature of a stupid person.
Uh,
You are what people use to show what a stupid person is.
but
Sorry.
I've been peeling back the layers too, and like just the extent to which we have been tolerant of so many things, like the idea of restricting reproductive health care is just torture. Like taking women's bodily autonomy, and the fact that we're just, we allow people to think that they call themselves pro-life, even though nobody kills more people than the pro-life crowd. And just like everything you're saying about abortion is a white supremacy argument designed to torture and control women. So I think we need to shift our perspective to that way. We can't get to a lot of these things we debate as if they're political points are outside of the realm of human dignity in the United States. And when you said, "Yeah, it's
Mhm.
not your fault," it's like that's the level of conditioning we have. Where even like
Mhm.
I'm tempted to turn up my rhetoric, not turn it down. But that's why I'm saying, Ben, I'm interested to hear what happens if you have success with that tactic, because I appreciate these diverse approaches.
Something relevant to bring up for anybody who might be in here hoping for entertainment and is getting important politics instead. Um, I read this post about how each entertainer, each social media icon really does have a role these days to say what their thoughts on this are, and it would be shirking our duty to have any platform at all and to not use it to at least say something about it. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to keep talking about entertainment. I expect we will get back to that,
Yeah,
but
well,
it would be a real shame if we didn't at least address this fucking chaos, because it is
yes.
fucking
Oh,
Yeah.
chaos.
Well, to be fair, Rambo First Blood was a good lead-in.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was good. I think that's really an interesting that's actually a fascinating thing to bring up, because that is, I mean, what other film is about post-traumatic stress disorder other than and people would laugh at
Mhm.
you for saying that because they probably haven't watched the first one. But yeah, he breaks down at the end. He's like, "This is wrong. I need help." He's begging for
Mhm.
help. And of course,
I
what they
have
did
this
is
book,
the opposite.
actually. Oh, no, it's the wrong one. Damn it. Anyway, I'll show you this one anyway. I have the other one, Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail
Uh-huh.
by Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
But I also have this one, The Proud Highway. What was it called? Yeah, The Proud Highway.
Ah,
Um,
Hunter Thompson again?
so this is like a collection of letters from like his whole life that he sent to friends. And, of course, the letters are dated. So if you know his work and everything like that, you can see like how his mind is working at like what's going on
Ah,
during like that time in history or whatever. Like when I read Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, and like
yeah,
that was like a real kind of cool insight to, even though it's kind of satire-ish, you know,
yeah.
flowery language or whatever. That was a really cool book to look into it.
Have you read
Um
Ben, have you read Hunter S. Thompson? Are you familiar with his work?
I've only seen the movie, and I've been eager to read Fear and Loathing for a while. I the little that I have read of him, he seems terrific.
Yeah, it's like this is another one where the context is where it's just sort of like living through Nixon, and there's another one called Where the Buffalo Roam with Bill Murray.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that one deals with, I think there's actually a scene where he confronts Nixon in that one, and it's just kinda weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it changes the context again, where people actually living through these times, and I did that talk with Bob Dana and King Ray Vet the other day, who had lived through the civil rights era, and so, yes, there is that that displacement between these movies. You're living through, like, a passive time, and you're watching or you're learning history about these other times, and it's not really sinking in. We've talked about this before. How does this whole generation that watched Indiana Jones beat up Nazis in our childhood, how all of a sudden are they on the side of the Nazis? How did that happen? Or they're Star
oh,
Wars
this
fans.
happens. Do you know what? Do you know how actually? If we're
Yeah.
talking about like media, I'm not saying this is how, but I was watching Zero Dark Thirty again. I think it's like my fourth time seeing it with Jessica Chastain about like going in to get Bin Laden, and and I'm watching it, and it's about torture and basically just going in and shooting everyone and getting it. And this is presented as heroic. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm not standing on any kind of side of the fence on this one. I'm going to be a fence sitter. I'm just kind of saying in the modern world of the military, this is something that happens. You know what I mean? It just is. So, but the fact that moment in time was presented as a piece of like popcorn for us to chew on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, of you actually kind of like the guy who's stripping down the the terrorist and playing music and making him shit his pants and everything. Because 2 minutes later, he's outside having a chat, and you're with him and you're talking, and he's a normal kind of, Patriots at the weekend kind of guy. And that's totally fine to make as a piece of art, but I think we've seen so much of it
Yeah.
where it's kind of like the authority figures have been made since 9/11. The authority figures have been made the kind of heroes,
Yeah.
you know?
I-
Um, I think so too. When it comes to war movies, anyway. I mean, I know you had what's it called, the Green Zone with Matt Damon about the Iraq War. Like, yeah, okay, they kind of said like, oh, there is no weapons of mass destruction. Like, yeah, no shit, nobody thought that doofus had nuclear weapons or something like that. You know, I think it was just the UK and America who thought that. Uh, but you get my point. It's like all the kind of war movies, they've been shown that like it's they are the heroes. They're not really showing any
Yeah.
huge other side of what's going on.
Yeah, it's funny watching all those movies from the, immediate years after 9/11 and how steep they are in that whole, war on terror zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Because that's like over 20 years ago now, and it has
yeah.
been kind of like a war on terror kind of media frenzy for people who are now in their late 30s and early 40s. That's how
Yeah.
they were framed, as in like those
Yeah.
damn Muslims took down the Twin Towers. So you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got to go out and get them.
And I
Thing that's
remember
been
my
interesting for me with those, Iraq war movies is that, there was never really any delineated ending to that war. So it
Right.
never exactly felt like it ended in any way for me. But when I look back on or when I watch those movies, it really does feel like a different period in time in a lot of ways. And it's just interesting to
Right.
reflect on the fact that yeah, that was a war that happened in the past and culture was in a very different place.
well, that was
I
a
was
big
watching.
that was a
Sorry, go
big
ahead, Will.
okay, that was a big reason when I went to Peru because I was so fed up, with how America was behaving at the time, and then, yeah, Department of Homeland Security, everything about that is based on fear, and they wrote all these laws establishing secret police. That's where ICE
Mhm.
got made because everybody was so terrified. They're like, "We need this police force that is not bound by all the other protections that protect the innocent in our country." And they
Mhm.
let it just linger and linger. So it's almost like, yeah, what we're enduring now, the fear of that time. And like you said, it's just been compounding and nobody's really addressed it seriously. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse until now we're finally, when you make decisions based on fear, people end up, being tortured for it. So that's what
Yeah.
we're in now. Go ahead, Peter.
A lot of people who I know in America, who are about the same age as me, a lot of them who are pro-Trump were they're the same age as me. So they were the same age as me when kind of 9/11 and Afghanistan and the Iraq War happened and they went off. They didn't go into the army, but they were kind of 13, 14 at that time. And wouldn't you know it, they did some tours when they turned 17, 18. You know what I mean? And obviously, I respect soldiers and everything, but a lot of them now, just from this is anecdotal. This isn't like stats or polls or anything. It's just anecdotal. A lot of them now are like MAGA, you know, and I think a lot of that is like in very early indoctrination, as in
Yeah.
like here's
Yeah.
here's trauma on your TV on Fox News,
Yeah.
and they're the guys who did it, and that's the world. It's
Yeah.
good and bad, and you're the good one. So here's a rifle.
Yeah.
Or here's an
That's
ICE agent.
That's fast. I was like 25 or 26, 9/11. So it was just that was actually the
Mhm.
first event I remember where it's like, oh, you've kind of come into yourself. I graduated from college by then. So I was observing history, but like as an adult for the first time in my life.
Mhm.
And I remember driving home and just listening to things on the radio. And like there was that period where people didn't know what to think about this. It's like, what's going on? And then everybody was like afraid that there would be no gas. So there were like these lines at the gas stations. And I'm just like, why are people doing that? It's like, oh, the gas is going to run. They were just freaking out.
Can I ask you a question though, with Americans with toilet paper and gasoline?
Fuck.
Um,
Yeah.
like in the end of the world, where the hell are you driving to?
They've seen too many Mad Max
That's
movies, I guess.
that's what I want to know. Yeah, because I
But
see a
it's
lot
the
of people like
mania,
getting
you know?
gasoline.
Well, it's just like the main like people how do people get that idea and how is it like the public can be activated? Like there's something in place that makes the American public panic in this really bizarre way where it comes up. And at the time I'm driving around like, why are they doing that? It's like I'm not gonna go sit in
But
line
you
like
know, it
cars.
happened in
Why?
Turkey as well.
The
When
toilet
when
paper.
the outbreak of the coronavirus happened, right before we all went into lockdown, I could understand people like, getting water and, rice and diapers and
Yeah.
toilet paper and stuff. But because, the rules were you could only go out once a day to get your stuff once lockdown came. So like, they're like, oh, okay. So if we pack up our stuff, we limit our exposure. I get it. But there are some people at the gas station. They were at the gas station, and it was like full on. And I remember with the person I was with at the time, they're like, should we get gas? And I'm like, why? Where are we going to go? I mean, like, if this is the end of the world, I'm using my feet and I'm going into the mountains.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? With my compass, with a spear, because like the gas will only get you 40 or 50 or 60 miles. Might as
Yeah.
well get
Yeah.
used to it.
Huh.
Yeah, you
I'm
know,
joking, of course, but like seriously, like that's what you would do. You'd get naked, go into the mountains. Let's do it.
the
Have a
the
party. Go ahead, Ben.
the gas I
Yeah.
can see a decent argument behind, but the toilet paper phenomenon, that is one for the history books. I think it's such a tellingly American thing too. Like we eat so much fucking KFC and Wendy's that when a pandemic rolls around, the first thing we think is,
Ooh.
oh, where's my
Yeah.
Where's my toilet paper?
right?
Oh, that's interesting though. I think, yeah, I'm gonna have to explore this idea more. But yeah, a lot of the policy that went into place in the United States as a consequence of 9/11, yeah, it takes decades for it to really see how bad it was. And that's what I think that's
Mhm.
a big part of what we're living through now. I was also thinking a movie that really deals with guilt, The Machinist with Christian Bale,
Oh yeah,
as we were talking about
I haven't
PTSD.
seen.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not one that you just like, "Oh, I'm gonna relax and
Oh, I
watch The
saw,
Machinist."
But
No.
it's been a long time.
It's a hard one, but that one engages with what it does to you, and I think, that's what they should be making the ICE recruits watch. You should have to sit and watch The Machinist because you have to
Yeah.
recognize if you do something terrible, and he looks awful, and he lost so much weight for
Mhm.
that, like, he's just consumed with guilt. And
Mhm.
these are all those themes that we never discuss. All our films are some variation of John Wick. And a healthy society would probably start to recognize there is accountability when you do horrible things, even if you're not
Mhm.
hauled away by the police. Your
Mhm.
your own thoughts are going to torture you, and we don't have a mechanism for even recognizing that or talking about it.
Game
So
of Thrones does that actually kind of well.
there is
I
some of
think
that in
it's
it.
like Jamie Lannister or somebody,
Mhm.
or no, Ned Stark has a dream in book one where it's like all the men he's killed come back and he's dreaming alive. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they're
Yeah.
not fighting; they're talking. You know, and I just thought it was like really, it's something that I do like because we were talking about the United Seven Kingdoms at the beginning. But that's something I do like about the Game of Thrones world as well.
Yeah. Ben, thoughts? I don't know.
I kind of wanted to s- uh piggyback off of Christian Bale and ask Peter's thoughts on the Dark Knight trilogy since he's just been watching
Oh God.
lots of Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Because I cannot stand Christian Bale as an actor. I don't think I've ever once liked a movie that he's been in, to be honest.
Oh. He's
Okay,
intense.
are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
The Joker is not that good.
Okay.
Oh, man, there it comes.
Christopher Nolan is not that good. The
Oh,
Dark
boy.
Knight, the second movie, it is stale. It takes itself way too seriously.
Yeah.
And the Joker
Oh,
at the end, spoiler alert, with the fairies, it's like Joker, just blow them up. All right. It's a terrible movie. The first Batman is very good. It's not a terrible movie, but like if you're 13-year-old and you've never like kissed a woman or you know been outside your apartment block, the Dark Knight is going to blow your mind. Okay, but if you have, it's fine. It's fine. I think that Christopher Nolan, the only reason he's popular is because of Heath Ledger. You know, Like,
Could
I
be.
think in the mainstream, like with, guys who watch Diary of a CEO, like they all like, oh, Nolan, bro. Like it's like he got those guys when they were like, 18, 19, 20, when they're just getting into university and going to tech startups or whatever. Like, did you see the Joker? It's so edgy. I'm going to go as a Joker for Halloween. Yeah, so that's my thoughts. Thanks for bringing that up, Ben. I'm ruined on the internet now.
Actually, I got a segue for that though, because we watched Batman Forever last night. It was just on TV, and I'm
Oh,
just like, throw this on. We're watching it. It was just fun to get my. It's the one with Val Kilmer as Batman,
yeah, it's Tommy
and
Lee Jones. Yeah.
it's my daughter kept coming into the room, and it was just like because it's like from 1995, and it's just so weird. They run into this gang that have like glow in the dark masks on, and the city's
Mhm.
so weird. And my kids were just like, what even is going on here?" They're watching this like, how could this even be a real thing that somebody would make? That's the one where Val Kilmer swings around and shows off the bat butt. He's like, they
Right,
have the
right,
scene
right,
where he's
right,
putting
right.
on his armor and then they just show his ass. And my wife was watching it, and I
Yeah.
was just like, I assumed that she'd like to see Val Kilmer's ass all covered in like
Mhm.
latex. And she was just like, what the fuck? She was just like, why is that in there? It like just didn't work for them on any level. And I kind of remember watching it and at least laughing at that scene when the movie came out. But it's just that's from 1995. So it's like things have
Well,
changed so much.
that's actually, but the funny thing is, that's the only Batman film that actually deals with PTSD properly.
There we
Because,
go.
like,
That's our talk for today. Yeah.
no, it does because it's the only one where Bruce Wayne is like actively like messed up about what happened to his parents. Like he's having these huge bat dreams and he's at a bat funeral and he sees his parents' coffins, and it's actually really well done because his love interest is a
Yeah.
psychiatrist, a shrink or whatever. But yeah, the rest of it is pure, you know,
It's
dog
amazing.
shit. But anyway,
It's amazing
He
you
doesn't
remembered
just
that because I had not one memory from that film, but you're absolutely right. It does. He's bringing back his memories that he's suppressed, and that's another issue
right?
in that. Well, that's
Yeah,
kind of cool.
yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ben.
I feel like the Batman character just mopes through the world like he listens to too much Green Day, and I've
He should be
yet
dead by now.
yet to
Yeah.
see an iteration of Batman where that is not the case.
Yeah. I keep saying they missed it. They missed the bet. And when the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, they should have had Joker be like his illegitimate older brother that his father just used his billionaire power to like make the woman,
You're right.
get her sent to. I mean, like that would have made so much sense, and then it could be a commentary
Do
on.
you know who the best Batman ever was? Nicolas Cage in that superhero
Oh
satire.
yeah, kick ass,
And
kick ass.
he plays Kick-Ass. He plays Big Daddy, and I'm like, that's Batman. You know what I mean? That's he's great.
Did I? Okay, this I gotta add this story because sometimes I play little tricks. I've told this before, but it's one of my favorite stories. I play tricks on my family where I try to see how many movies featuring Nicolas Cage I can force him to watch in a row. And so
Right.
usually you can get away with like two, like Con Air and then like Raising Arizona, so like straight ones. But then by the third one, it's got to be something like Kick Ass, where you're just like Kick Ass because he doesn't come in until halfway through. They're like, "God damn it,
Right.
Daddy, there's 50 Stitch again." And so then I was like, but then I brought in like Into the Spider-Verse because he voices the character in Into the Spider-Verse. And so they're like, fucking
Yeah.
Daddy. He's like the noir Spider-Man. And they're like, Daddy.
You
And
guys
so
got
like,
surprise caged.
but my peak one of this was I did all those. So I was up to like 4. And then I saw The Flash was playing for like at the $5 cinema. And there's a scene at the end of The Flash where they have Nicolas Cage as Superman. And my kids, they just looked at me. The whole family was like, fuck you. The only reason we came to this was for this 2-second cameo of Nicolas Cage. I'm like, yes, 5 Nicolas Cage movies in a row. I win. I'll win.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I do that stuff to them. My eldest is starting to pick it up now when I set these things up so that they magically happen. It takes a lot of planning on my part. They're not really appreciating that yet.
By any chance, have you seen Willy's Wonderland?
Uh-uh.
No.
That was one of the I wouldn't have really expect either you to have said yes to that. I was on a weird bender of watching all of the animatronic related horror movies that had ever come out.
Ah,
One of which was Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage, and and it's a great proof of the fact that these days Nicolas Cage is willing to be in absolutely fucking anything,
oh,
and
yeah.
It
he's just
sounds like
this
a
like
porno.
he's like
Yeah.
this like completely sullen, non-talking anti-hero type who's just like fending off a group of good guys from a bunch of evil animatronics, and it's
Ugh.
a worthy watch.
I watched yeah. I
I'm
had
gonna
my
watch it. I'm writing it down. My pen ran out of.
I
I
had
was
my
going to say
kids
my pen ran out of battery. My pen ran out of ink.
well, you'll have a replay of this. I had my kids watch Face Off the other day too, and they hadn't seen that one, and they were just like, "What?" They were just like they couldn't believe it was a real movie. It's like, what do you mean they take his face off? And it's like they literally take his face off. And then they're like the thing where he like does his fingers like this to like prove it's him. He's always like, so my kids are doing that now. They come up, they're like, I faced off you, and they're like, come and do that to us. So they've been doing that to their friends at
Just
school. And I'm just like, you gotta like tell your friends that you're like actually seriously a big fan of Face Off, and see if any of them go home and watch it. I don't know. They don't like that.
sometimes my wife comes into my office and she looks at my notes. So tomorrow, when she looks at my notes to see what I'm working on, she's going to see Willy's Wonderland written up
Willy's
here.
Wonderland. Somebody said it was bonkers, but yeah.
Peter, watch Willy's Wonderland. Get a VPN.
Oh, he's funny. Everything he's entertaining. The movie might suck, but Nicolas Cage is gonna be entertaining in it. And he might not be good, but it'll be entertaining. Yeah, Vampire's Kiss. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. He's walking out and taking us out.
I feel like him and Daniel Radcliffe are two actors who followed a similar career trajectory.
Oh, he was so good in the Weird Al movie. Did you watch that?
I wanted to. I was
Oh my
curious
god, it's
about
so
that.
funny.
They're they are both willing to do anything. Like the weirdest roles that are thrown at them, they're just like, give it to me.
Oh, well, that one, it's played. He's like, this is the completely true story of my life. And then he makes it out like people are like pursuing him to get the Al bump, like, cause like they're, and then he like just claims he's like, I finally made an original song all by myself, and it's "Eat It," and it he's just trying to play it off like he composed "Eat It," and then Michael Jackson does a parody. He calls it a parody, "Beat It." He just flips the phone. He's like, why would he do that? Why would he recreate my song? And he's like smashing the phone against the wall, and then like he's dating Madonna, and then like I think it's Pablo Escobar kidnaps Madonna for some reason. So he has to go
Oh my
and
God.
murder like the entire drug ring in Colombia. It switches to that. There's a scene where he's sitting in a my favorite part though, he's just sitting in a cafe and he like does like this John Wick scene where he like a guy pulls a gun on him, he like takes the gun and kills him. He's like, don't hurt me. I don't know, that made me laugh. So yeah, watch Daniel Radcliffe in Weird Al's real life movie. That's a good break.
I love that as a beginning. I'm going to, if I ever write like a book, that's going to be how I start it. This is a completely true story of my life. Like
Yeah.
the very first pages, and then there were the dragons.
That's like at the end of the Royal Tannenbaums. Did you ever see that's
Yeah.
one of my favorites. And
I watched. Have you seen Faulty Towers? Actually, I
Oh,
wanted
I
to
have.
bring that up today, but I forgot.
Well, let me finish this. On the end of at the end of the
Yeah.
Royal Tannenbaums, he writes on his tombstone, "Died valiantly, saving his family from a sinking battleship." So it's just like complete bullshit. But that's what he's got in his tombstone. I just like that. That's the kind of thing that makes life better. Yeah, Faulty Towers. I tried not to mention the war. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just very quickly. I think I would love to have like a writer's version of Faulty Towers. And for anyone who doesn't know about Faulty Towers, it's a guy called Basil Fawlty who owns a hotel, but he doesn't want to deal with customers. He hates people, and that's the funny thing, you know. It's like, why did you have a hotel then? Blah blah blah. But I would love to have like a Substack or writer version of that, where it's like a writer, but they find themselves on Substack, you know, and they got into writing not to talk to people. You
Oh,
know,
man.
and now all they have to fucking do is like answer comments and like, we love you all. We're not, it's not talking about us, but like just characters, like, and that's where like the comedy would come from,
Oh,
you know.
I should
It's like,
create a
well, why
character.
did you get into writing if you don't want to talk to people? He's like, well, things changed. I'm on this platform now, and there's videos. Like,
I should create a parody account with like a mustache and a wig, and I could be like that guy.
Right.
That would be kind of fun. We could interview each other with our parody accounts. That
My dog is kindly letting me,
oh, all right,
asking me to let him out real quick. I'll be
all
right
right,
back.
all
Uh,
right. We can keep going for a minute more. I got time. I like having Peter on the hook here. So
oh, thanks. Yeah, it
yeah.
breaks up the week nicely.
Oh, I always know I'm going to survive to the weekend by the time I get to Thursday, and we can talk about fun movies for a little while. But and
Mhm.
I think actually we covered some pretty interesting ground. I mean, you're trying to avoid it, but that how the United States is just two things. Yeah, the reaction to 9/11 and then just the complete failure to engage in our literature or in our art. Things like guilt or like the
I
consequences of
think
any
it's
actions.
very important. Like Ben said it earlier. Like it's very important. Like not that you tell people like I'm a Democrat or for example in Ireland I vote Social Democrats or in the past I used to vote Fine Gael. But it's not that's not the important thing that you come out and say that. Like that is none of people's business really, unless you volunteer that information
Yeah,
willingly. But it's
yeah,
more kind of about like, are you pro people getting murdered? And I think when it gets to that stage, that's when you kind of have to say like hands up, I don't think that's good.
yeah,
You know what I mean? If you can, not everyone's on social media, I get that. And not everyone's a writer, I get that. But everyone's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I would suggest, without being like too inflammatory, uh, just to kind of say, I am not for
yeah,
what happened to those people. I think it's wrong,
yeah,
And if
yeah,
anyone pushes back on that, then it's kind of like, okay, don't say anything to them. Say, tell me why it was right for them to die, and
yes.
just leave it at that.
Has our conversation taken another turn for the sober?
Not so much.
No, we're
We're just
talking
kinda
about
yeah.
I'm talking about a new comedy I'm working on. It's
What I'm
called
curious though.
2026. Ah,
Yeah. Dude, do the police in Ireland, do they have guns? I'm curious about that. Is that like, what's the
no, they
international
don't. In Ireland, we have our police are called An Garda Síochána, which basically means peaceful police. There is a drug squad, of course, that goes after hardened criminals. They will have
Yeah,
rifles and automatics and things like that, bulletproof vests. But they're special squadrons. You never see them on the street. But the local police, they don't have weapons. Although I must say, I am happier that the Irish police, An Garda Síochána, have started wearing more appropriate European themed uniforms because before they kind of looked like lollipop men. I don't mean
yeah,
that in a derogatory way because Ireland's grey, they should be seen. But
yeah,
they kind of mixed it in with a little bit of grey and hopefully they gave them more defensible weapons, I guess you could call them. Not guns, but or not tasers, but because I always feel bad for police officers, especially in Ireland at 4 o'clock in the morning in Dublin, because like it's a wild ride, 4 o'clock
yeah,
in the morning, a Saturday night, Sunday morning, and you
yeah,
just have these two or three poor police officers just standing there. So
yeah,
not because I want them to use the sticks on people, but because I'd like them just to have something where they could like knock someone and then maybe run away and get that.
but I think it's really important. Conversations about how in other places of the world, people the cops don't have weapons, and it's just like, I don't think because we have resource officers in schools that carry guns, and I don't like that at all. I don't think that's necessary.
Nothing is solved in art besides like parking tickets or maybe fisticuffs on the streets. But if something big like that happened in Ireland, say like someone ramaged that took out a gun, nobody would engage. There would be a perimeter until the special. I assume the special police then came in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And uh, there'd be no kind of bang bang on the street straight away. Um, the so some people might say, oh well, what if that the person started shooting? It's like, well, look, it's the cost of being alive.
yeah,
It's kind of the people. There's the police officers in London have guns, and guess what? People in London get stabbed or shot. It's the cost of doing business as a human. Republicans will say, "Oh, kids getting shot is the cost of doing business with a gun." It's like, no, you can remove that because people will already die without the guns, but you can minimize it. You
Yeah.
know, I think that's the mistake where they kind of think that people who don't want guns just want chaos, and it's not that. It's already chaotic, but you just don't need to insert that chaos into other
Yeah.
places.
It's like if you have poison in a room, you don't make it better by bringing in more poison. It's like that's just more of a way for more people to die. It's kind of the
Right.
and it's just rethinking like how we can apply that to movies and how we engage things in our literature. And you're a writer. I mean, that's so wonderful. If you have this context, these are the things Americans need to be reminded of how in other parts of the world, they have more effective ways to handle these situations, which results in less of a loss of human life. That's kind of important. Let's apply that here.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also, it's about in Ireland. This is my last point of it. Like when we grew up, I didn't grow up under British rule, but Ireland as an island grew up under British rule. Of course, it had its own history before the Brits came, but a lot of the reasons why we don't have a gun is because we had black and tans, which were very similar to ICE agents roaming the streets of Dublin and Ireland, pulling fingernails. They would kick the shit out of you if you didn't speak
boy.
English. If you spoke Irish, they'd beat you up. The Wind That Shakes the Barley with Cillian Murphy. It's a great representation.
Okay.
So when the Irish Free State and then the Republic eventually came to be, one of the big things is like, we are not going to be them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're not going. People won't be afraid of our police force, and yeah, that comes with risk. Like sometimes I get frustrated by Irish police. Like, hey, I just got bottled. Can you do something about that guy who just bottled me? And it's like, all right, laddie, I'm going to, and I'm going to take him to the station, and then the law will take precedence. I'm like, no, do what an American cop would do, shoot him in the face. But
Yeah.
that's not what the good thing is. So like the Irish police are the ones that they're the annoying ones that grab you and kind of say, no, there's going to be a process here, and you will get your justice, but it just won't be today. It'll be in 6 months or 7 months. Yeah.
I think that in the end, we kind of covered a lot of. I think as we were getting stabilized in the start, but it is this resource we have of other cultures and other films and things. It provided some insight. So that was, in addition to being a break from the hardship. Yes, this has been a good conversation.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Oh,
Ben?
yeah.
We're a little over time, so I don't know if you've got other things you have to do.
Nice conversation as always. I think we can wrap it up. But thank you so much for coming on, Peter, and thank you so much everyone for joining. It has been
Yeah.
fun as always.
Thanks, Peter. It's always
Oh,
great
can
to
I
see
say
you. Thank you,
one
Ben.
thing?
Yep.
Ben, I wanted to talk about you in private, but I am thinking about opening a little writers workshop in 2 months for anyone who's interested.
Awesome.
I'm going to share more on it on the Exile Files. It's just going to be 2 hours or 3 hours workshop. I'll give you more information about it, but it's something for anyone who wants to learn about writing at any level. I'm not going to tell you how to write, but yeah, it's going to be like that.
That's
I'll get
awesome.
follow the Excel files and I'll get more information.
Perfect. Good plug.
Okay.
All right.
It was a
love you
terrible
guys.
plug. I didn't have it prepared. See you later.
Oh, that was perfect. Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye bye.